is very impressive when the transformation takes us to something affluent and something smarter. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session is all about that, shaping affluent customer success with smarter talent. To take this forward, please welcome Bimaljeet Singh Bhasin, President, Skills and Careers Business, NIIT Limited, in discussion with Narendra, Agrawal, President and National Branch Banking Head, Prime Markets, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Satheesh Krishnamurthy, EVP and Head, Private, Premium Banking and Third-Party Products, Axis Bank India, Virendra, Somwanshi, Head, Wealth Management, Capital Market Division and NRI Business, Bank of Baroda Group. Over to you, Bimal.
Thank you very much, Dilip. Hi, Satheesh. It'll be good. Yeah. Hi, Narendra. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Virendra. Good morning. So just from a time perspective, I think we are running a bit behind schedule. We'll still try and cover up in this session. From a context perspective, Satheesh, Narendra, Virendra, in the morning we were having discussion. We actually had a panel from retail companies. We were talking about mass retail, right? So companies like Bata and so very important dimension of how they are addressing their talent requirements at customer touch points of in-store representatives and service representatives. And here we are now in conversations with with you people who manage customers at like the title say, the affluent customer, right? And I'm sure that that category of customer, like all categories of customer, is growing significantly, right? And but in addition to growth, also the expectation of that category of customers, like all categories of customers, is changing, multifold, and especially for you, given that these are affluent customers, they're obviously their expectations are far higher. They're obviously more given the fact that they are affluent, they would expect a lot more personalization and focus on their respective solutions. I mean, if we were to draw a graph of x-axis and y-axis in terms of product differentiation on the y-axis and the pricing on the x-axis, you will probably be in the top right quadrant with differentiated products. Obviously there would be a premium to the service, but the fact is you have to have people who can handle such customers, right? And people who can handle such customers with the way the customers expect to be handled. Like I said, personalized service. The relationship manager should have all insight about the client before going and having a conversation. So, given this is the scenario, it'll be important for us to understand how are you preparing talent who can handle affluent customers and help you maximize on the opportunity, but also at the same point of time help you serve customers really, really well. So Narendra, if I can request you to start this conversation and tell us how Kotak is looking at preparing talent for handling such customers.
Thanks, Bimal. Thanks, everyone, for inviting me on this forum. Good morning to all. Today is a talent war at the ground as far as banking relationship manager or wealth management is concerned. There is a crunch of talent at the ground. Customer behavior is changing, and there is a lot of churn in the relationship management teams, and that is what is leading to customer dissatisfaction at the ground. So it is very important for the banks to make sure that they hire the right talent and they retain this wealth management professionals to keep the customer happy. So what we have done at Kotak Mahindra Bank is that we have a customer relationships system called CRM, where we empower our wealth managers to basically get customer insights, and they can get entire customer transaction data, customer history on their app. So it is available on their mobile. And during pandemic times, these relationship managers were working from home, and The system gives them access to the customer. So this is a complete digital interaction with the customer. And the system also provides relationship managers about personalized offers being offered to their customers. We call them propensity data and campaign data. So this is loaded on their CRM system. So that is how we empower our relationship managers, so that when they prepare for a call to be made to the customer, they understand what are the customer needs and what do I need to take a particular solution to the customer. So that is how they are more empowered. Second thing, what we have done is we have given them complete training called Nurturing Portfolio. It's a very unique training that we are providing to our relationship managers, where we give them soft skills in terms of handling customer objections, understanding customer needs, how to prepare for a particular call, and how to handle irate customers, because it is not always that customer is happy. When a wealth manager or relationship manager calls a customer, you might land up in a situation where customer may not be happy. So you need to handle such irate customers, give proper solutions to the customer, because I think trust is something which is very important in today's relationship management world. And if you are able to build that credibility and trust with the customer, everything else will follow. And that is what we are trying to build in our relationship teams, as to how do you build that trust and how do you build that credibility with the quality of knowledge, quality of solutions that you provide to the customer needs. And lastly, we have given them a 360-degree view of the customer, where they come to know about every relationship with the bank, whether liabilities or assets or investments, and the relationship manager can come to know about the entire banking of that customer. And we want to make our relationship managers and wealth managers as one-stop contact point for all the financial needs. Customer doesn't have to go to different departments, different divisions, and different verticals. He should be in a position to give solution for every financial customer needs, whether it is investment, whether it is lending, whether it is savings account, current account, whether it is fast tag, whether it is your SIPs and everything. So that will bring a lot of transformational change in the behavior of the relationship manager. We are spending a lot of time on their knowledge across all product categories. So that is how we are empowering and making sure that our wealth managers are ready to provide solutions.
Thanks, Narendra. Those were that was helpful. Satheesh, if I can request you to come in next and add in a specific dimension of course Narendra spoke about trust and solutions, but there's this added dimension of customers' expectation, and specifically affluent customers, expectation around personalization, massive personalization. Again, from a talent perspective, I'm sure there are many things that you are doing from a technology perspective, leveraging data, but from a talent perspective, how are you bringing in both the skill sets and mindsets of serving a customer at a personal level, at an individual level? Satheesh, you're on mute.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bimal, for having me over. Lovely to, in fact, meet some friends again through this panel, and very good afternoon to everybody across the country who's joined in. So, firstly, I heard Narendra, I think, brilliant points of importance to serve customers. I think I would fully agree and echo to that. Now, Bimal, getting to this question on how do we ensure the talent is identified correctly, right? That's the first question, right? So how do we go about identifying the right talent, right? That's the first question. And the way we have tried to ask ourselves solution to this question is, what is it that customers deep from who are interfacing with them, right? And we've spoken about how in this services industry, wealth management or banking, fundamentally, that products, processes, platform are easy to duplicate, right? Everybody, I mean, CRM, giving nudges, everything is, it's just a matter of time, right? Some banks can get it sooner. Some innovations you can produce before others, but it is a matter of time that everybody would be able to converge to a similar point. What I believe truly differentiates institutions and their offerings is the right talent and the longevity of that talent, right? Both are very, very important. And the way we think about this from an Axis standpoint is we start from the core values that we are like our employees, especially the ones who are facing off with our customers, to display, right? 3 I's come to my mind, and I've said this earlier as well, but I thought it'll be apt to state it to your audience. Firstly, you need a talent which demonstrates high integrity, right? That would be the first and the most important I that we look for in a talent, right? And Narendra spoke about trust. I think it will naturally come from that facet of an individual, right? The second critical facet that we look for is intellect, right? Because you're talking to very successful customers, right? The customer has become affluent because he or she is very well accomplished, understands how the world operates, and therefore has very high expectations. The person who's speaking to them has to bring an element of intellect. The third I that, as a customer, we find clear need, that's been evidenced is this person an innovator in kind of problem solving, anything that I might need, both from my perspective or from my family perspective. So these are the 3 I's that we believe are very important for an individual to bring to the table, right? And the way we have gone about building this talent, which can bring out these 3 I's, is one, of course, we partnered with the best in the industry to groom the talent from fairly young days, which means that not waiting for somebody to have an experience in an institution and then recruit that person off that institution. But we've gone back to the core route right after college, or even when an individual is at college. We've partnered, for example, with NIIT. Bimal, you're well aware of a very comprehensive program that we run together, right? Which tries and inculcates these 3 I's, right? And the umbrella that I would bring all of.
Sorry, Satheesh, you've gone on mute, looks like.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think maybe there's some inconsistent network. So I think I was just saying that we brought all of this together under an Axis way of relationship management, which will also differentiate us and our offerings versus the rest of the competitors in the pack. We are also cognizant that we are living in a very dynamic world. Today, competition is no longer just traditional banks. You're also dealing with fintechs. You're dealing with PSU banks who are just changing their paradigm and are being very nimble-footed, right? And there is a lot of dynamic leadership out there. So we are dealing with a very competitive world. So therefore, we continue to, put extreme emphasis on talent, and both in terms of grooming the talent and also retaining the talent. So that's how I would.
Thanks. And I think you've given a very natural path for Virendra to step into this conversation about public sector banks becoming nimble, because Virendra is driving one such agenda at at one of the largest public sector banks. Virendra, if we can have in your comments around how you are trying to drive this agenda at Bank of Baroda, which we all know is 8,000 branches, very large customer base, and like Satheesh said, that you have the assets, you have the branch network, you have about 140, 150 million odd customer base of Bank of Baroda. How are you now trying to bring in the skill sets and the mindsets where all these assets can be leveraged?
Yeah, so one of the advantages of my, name starting with the letter V is typically in all pecking order, it is always last. So, in school also, my roll number always used to be in the last. So all the tough questions get answered earlier and I'm left with, easy answers. So
we can go reverse in the next round, Virendra. We'll go reverse.
But thanks, Bimal, for inviting. It's a pleasure to be here, and good to connect with old friends. We have two stalwarts in the industry as my panel members. We are taking baby steps. If many of your audiences would have seen the movie Lagan, it is astonishing to know how the underrated Bhuvan's team actually give a fight to the mighty English team and eventually won. To put chronology, we are like the Lagan team of the wealth management industry. I think many of the people probably don't even believe that we can make an impact in the wealth management space, and that's a good starting point for us. Because if I were to take some few learnings from the movie Lagan, I mean there are many more learnings, but relevant to this discussion today, I think there are two key learnings for us to do what the questions which you asked. One is obviously the common sense of purpose, right? The common sense for everybody in the Lagan team was, okay, if we win the match, 3 saal ka Lagan maaf ho jayega, right? And the second is obviously how do we make the learnings simplified? And I want to just narrate putting the two chronologies and what we are doing to do. So Narendra did mention about the trust, right? So we are positioning our wealth management business both internally and externally on two strong pillars. One is the trust and the second is knowledge. Okay. Trust thankfully comes naturally because it is very carefully curated over the last so many years of the existence of the bank. Customers generally trust PSU banks more than our, let's say foreign counterparts, because, we are perceived to be not fair weather friends. We are there with thick and thin times of the customers. And there's a very different expectations from our, bank for all our customers. So trust comes very naturally. Knowledge is something we believe we need to build in. And, Satheesh did mention about everything else, product, processes, technology can be replicated. What you bring on the table is the knowledge, which is, very unique to you, very individualized, and there is no limit to that, right? Because you don't need too many approvals. It doesn't matter whether you're in a foreign bank or a private bank or an NBFC or a public sector bank. So truly for us, knowledge is, a very, very strong differentiator. And then obviously the question is then how do we build knowledge, the learning curve within our relationship managers. So that brings me to the second learning of the film Lagan, right? I mean, if you look at, Amir Khan, when he was trying to be hiding behind the bushes and trying to learn the game of cricket, he was trying to simplify the game of cricket, related to the Gilli Danda, which his team members probably understood it. And very nicely he says, "वो गोरे पतलून पे की खेल का क्रिकेट कहत है और हम लोग लंगोटी बांध के गिल्ली डंडा खेलते हैं." So I think it's very similarly, the learning is how can you break down this, complex investments world and the complex wealth management industry into very simplistic things, because clients don't need complexity. They need simplicity. Their needs are very simple. So how do we decipher this whole complex wealth management game and make it simple? I think that's the whole, intent. And, the other movie which I really like is, Three Idiots, which really says that, okay, I mean, कामयाब होने के लिए नहीं, काबिल होने के लिए पढ़ो, right? So कामयाबी तो आ ही जाएगी. So I think, there are enough in learning. So thankfully, I mean, the bank already has a full-time Apex Academy where there are full-time, faculty who do take care, and there are we have 18 zones, and each of the zones has a zonal training center which takes care of many of these things. But as far as the wealth management training around is concerned, I think I really want to benchmark of what, Charlie Munger says, about this whole various mental models. Clearly, I mean, whether it is history, you read Sapiens and you get the evolution of mankind. You read, economics because various macro variables. But at the core of it is also psychology of how clients react to various situations, whether it was pandemic or post. So how do we enable all RMs to make a holistic learning across various things, right? So apart from formal training programs, what we really do is, there is, again, learning from Lagan. You look at it, what it is saying, it's will and skill. And will is not everything, right? So skill is practice, 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 practice. So I think for us, it is read, 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 read. So you read what? You read everything, whatever is possible, whether it is psychology, human behavior. And as a culture, we are promoting book reading as a very, at the epicenter of the whole learning thing, right? I personally take sessions every fortnight with my team on some of the books, which I recommend one book a month to all my team members. And I'm just trying to, trying to talk here is that the learning is, across the board. So whether it's book reading, formal training programs, we get people to also talk about it, and other things. I'm sure, my co-panel members have also gone through their Lagan moments. Sato is scripted an amazing story in the last few years. Axis used to be a public sector bank erstwhile. So in a way, it's a great benchmark for me to look at what Sato's leadership has turned, the wealth vertical within Axis. Kotak is inspirational because from a pure car financer, it has become a truly global, one of the best in class wealth management businesses. So yeah, I think we have good benchmarks. We're learning.
No, that is good. And amongst all the books that you spoke about, I see at least two great books, Good to Great and Build to Last, in your backdrop. But in going through that journey of building good to great and building things to last, I think you spoke at length, Virendra, and this time we are starting with you first. So you obviously spoke at length of what you're doing with your existing workforce, but to also handle affluent customers and both of you said knowledgeable and intellect, wealth managers with the right amount of intellect and skills. I think a big challenge is also attracting new talent who's suave, who can handle affluent customers. Now I know Bank of Baroda has an advantage of being a public sector bank and hence attractiveness of a brand but is that in line with the kind of employees that your vertical, your business would want? So how are you? Is that a challenge first? And if that is so, how are you trying to bring in new talent, given that same talent can pretty much be hired by a Kotak or an Axis?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, the talent war, I think, we are fairly primitive as an industry, I must say. I think, if you ask me, the learnings for the wealth management industry should come from the IT industry. I think the IT industry over the last 2 decades has done a fabulous job in terms of reskilling employees. People who used to do mainframe suddenly in 6 months change and start doing some other skill sets, right? So the pace at which the whole industry does reskilling and retraining, I don't think we've done that enough in wealth at an industry level. And two is, there is no concept of a bench of employees in wealth management, right? Because when the attrition happens, you're always short-staffed because you're always going and hiring people. And then there is this huge demand-supply gap, right? At any point of time in my career, I haven't seen a shortage of, the demand-supply is always skewed, right? So how do we take care of it? So internally, we have some very good talent, right? But we have segmented our client approach in such a way that on the branch banking side, we will groom our internal talent who are hungry, ambitious to now move to the next level. And, on the Radiance segment, which is, benchmark on the affluent segment side, we've sort of, getting talent from outside. And, the good part is because we have enough and more clients, I don't need to pay premium to the RMs to acquire clients. I have enough clients. I just want them to go and meet, right? So the positioning is very clear. I want people who have, good integrity, good understanding, and we have a, clear matrix in which we are looking at talent. And I'm happy to say that we've already have now 250 RMs on board. By end of March, we should be having about 450 RMs. And that is where, we then get into this whole thing about, getting the best productivity, ensuring they merge into the culture. But one thing which I really want to say is that, how do they attract clients, right? Because we have a client. So we've launched the Radiance 2.0 proposition, which may not be the best in the industry, but it is definitely at par with any of the offerings in affluent segment. And that really empowers the RM to go and give a full 360-degree view of the customer, give the whole offering of the bank. So it's not about wealth, but obviously encompassing the whole wealth and offering. And I think digital, quickly one word on that, because I know we have, 7 minutes left, and I'm sure there are others who also want to talk. Clearly the bank's focus over the last few years is very, very high on digital. And I think that enables both our clients and our RMs. I mean, just to give you, Bob World is what we've launched 6 months back, which is our best-in-class app. By March, it will have 3 crore investors on the app. So that will enable some of our RMs also.
Wow. Interesting. Satheesh, let me bring you in from a different perspective. You actually, in your initial commentary, spoke a lot about building in, bringing in fresh talent through the partnership that we built. But what are you doing for your existing workforce? I mean, given that the customer expectations are also changing. So anything specific that you're doing on your existing talent to keep them up the curve?
Yeah, thanks, Bimal. I think a lot of interesting points were touched upon by Virendra. I think, so one of the critical challenges which the industry faces first is it's hard to get, let's say, the right talent. And I think it is harder to retain the right talent. It's not an easy pursuit at all, right? Especially given the marketplace that I had spoken of, and Virendra just explained how dynamically others are looking at it as well. So I would say the pivot that we build is trying to inculcate a learner's mindset, right? The IT example that Virendra spoke of, that engineers who were earlier operating in a different platform, within 6-12 months, they are able to handle a different platform. Likewise, I think wealth management products, if you reflect on the shape of this industry over the last decade, right? Products which were seen as novelty, right? 10 years ago or 15 years ago, let's say, for example, mutual funds, right? Today are more and more being bought through the direct route by most individuals, right? By most customers, especially in the affluent space. Therefore, how do you really differentiate, right? And therefore, again, you need to constantly ask yourselves, what are the right products? And which is why innovation mindset is again very important. A best-in-class mindset is very important, even with your existing employees. Every time you speak to a customer, you need to probe by asking the right questions around what would drive relationship continuity and relationship deepening. So we are very cognizant of these very important skill sets that our existing employees need to continuously hone. So again, what we try and do is we leverage digital as a methodology. There are continuous set of modules that we create. We also believe that everybody's learning journey is very individualistic, right? Even at a high level, there are a set of skills that we all aspire to make sure our employees have. We also are very cognizant of the fact that personalization of that learning journey is very important. So we let employees kind of pick and choose depending on what they believe are areas they'd like to pay even greater attention to. The last comment I would like to make is that it's very important that the institution walks the talk. What you expect from the employees' conduct with customers is the way you need to be, engaging with your own employees. So, give them that sense of respect, give them that sense of confidence that, they are truly the face of our bank. Give them that skill set in terms of all the data, data enablement, the various product enablement, process enablement. We continue to do that. So once the employee succeeds, then you are onto a virtuous cycle. Problem starts if the employee finds himself or herself disconnected with the alignment of the organization, right? And therefore, at those points of time, it's very, very important to have a very open dialogue and set those anomalies right. So that's the way I would describe our approach to managing existing talent. Thank you again.
No, thanks a lot, Satheesh. And Narendra, if I can give you the last word, and specifically, mentioning something that Mr. Uday Kotak said, I think about a few months back, which is that we are now in a never normal world, right? So that's what he said and became. So, given that we are in a never normal world, if you were to pick one thing between the two, and I'm also trying to, keep the answer short, given that we have just 1 minute, between what are your customers asking and what are you telling your employees? So if I were to give you choices between boldness and caution, what are your customers expecting? Are they expecting you to be bold? Are they expecting you to be cautious?
So customers want us to be bold, and we always want to be bold, but also at the same time, being bankers, remain cautious. So it has to be.
But if you were to pick one, I mean, I know I'm pushing the boundaries.
So I think the economy is growing and the wealth customer base is growing, and there is no reason for us to be cautious. We want to remain bold, and we want to be aggressive. We have a Kotak wealth management platform called Cherry. I think it is best in class, and it's an open architecture where customer doesn't even see investments in Kotak. They can also see investments outside Kotak. So I think we are investing in technology. We are investing in talent, because we believe there are 3 key pillars for our success. One is talent, second is technology, and third is customer. And all our strategies are revolving around these 3 areas, and we call it CTT. So customer, talent, technology. So Mr. Uday Kotak is rightly on that path.
No, super. So on that very bold note,
thank
Narendra, if I can end this conversation, but thank you very much, Virendra, Narendra, and Satheesh.
Thank you.
Again, enlightening conversation, and always a pleasure speaking with all of you. But thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Satheesh. Thanks.
Wish you all a great day ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bimal and team, for the Affluent and Smart talk on shaping affluent customer success with smarter talent.